Hey everyone, welcome to Flavor Talk with the Barbecue Pro Shop Factory team. I'm co-host Brian Neal, aka Mr. Freak of Smoke Freaks Barbecue.
Hey everybody, I'm Ann Neal, aka Ms. Freak, and together Brian and I are the tongues and testers behind the flavor guide at Barbecue Pro Shop, the world's first and only online seasonings decoder. Joining us tonight is our partner in flavor going all the way back to 2019, Mr. Jeff Belmonte, owner of Barbecue Pro Shop. Hey Jeff, what's up?
Not much. Good to see everybody tonight.
Very good. We are super excited to welcome the one and only Heath Riles of Heath Riles Barbecue to tonight's Flavor Talk. We are really, really excited that you're joining us, Heath. Thank you for giving us a portion of your time and sharing it with everybody. I'll turn it over to you, Brian.
Yeah, well, I tell you, I bet nobody is more excited than me because ribs are my jam and Heath is the rib man. And, someone I've definitely looked up to as long as I've been doing this stuff. He's the mastermind behind Heath Riles Barbecue brand, an 81-time barbecue grand champion with multiple Memphis and May World Rib Championships, and in fact is this year's overall Memphis and May grand champion. Congratulations, Heath, and welcome to Flavor Talk.
Well, thank y'all very much for having me on.
Well, first off, let's give a warm welcome to everyone who's joining us tonight or in the future through the magic of internet streaming. Be sure to drop us comments so that we know that you're here and can introduce you. And of course, post up your questions for Heath, our man of the hour. So we are going to jump right into our flavor talk and get going. We're going to talk about winning. We're going to talk about building out the Heath Riles brand. And of course, we are going to talk flavor because after all, this is Flavor Talk and we got the flavor rib man himself with us. Hey, Eric, what's going on? Welcome to Flavor Talk.
Thanks for joining us.
All right, well, let's do a quick intro just in case we get some folks on who don't know who Heath Riles is. And why don't you kick us off till we get into the meat of our discussion here.
So for anyone that doesn't know about Heath Riles Barbecue, Heath, how would you describe what Heath Riles Barbecue is all about?
Ooh, well, where do I start? Wow, that's a great question.
Yeah, what is Heath Riles Barbecue at this point? It's a lot more than just you.
Well, it is. It takes a village to do everything that we do now, and that is definitely not just me. My wife helped start the business with me and has continued to support me, and she works now as like the HR person. And that's kind of funny. That is my initials, but she kind of handles all the other employees and helps with day-to-day operations and things like that. But kind of who we are. We started off as a competition barbecue team. Kind of cut our teeth with that through the years, cooking with several people through the years, and it just got to a crossroads where it was time for me to kind of do my own thing. And of all people, Sweet Baby Ray and famous Dave Anderson talked me into changing my name to my name. And I did that. And honestly, come home and put $28,000 on an American Express card and said, I'm either going to make it or break it. And 4 months later, we were cash flow positive, and I hadn't looked back since. It's just been a whirlwind between cooking contests and just starting off with social media and kind of flipping that into selling to mom and pop barbecue stores and kind of local people in our area to our first big account national was Academy Sports. And now we're in I believe it's over 15,000 locations across the country, and we export to over a dozen other countries.
Wow. That is an amazing statistic. And, if you think about it, 15,000 retail locations would be a huge, huge operation. And you're in 15,000 of those retail operations as a brand. Pretty awesome as far as I'm concerned. But let's roll way on back. How did you first get into barbecue at all? Like, were you cooking barbecue as a little kid, or how did that come about?
So my dad was on the fire department and things like that in the local community we were on, and they were always doing like chicken cooking fundraisers and Austin butts and things like that. And just kind of helped with that as a kid. And as I got older in high school, one of my best friends, his uncle had a KCBS barbecue team. Well, we really liked hanging around Uncle Don. And, Don got a divorce when we were in 11th grade, I believe it was, our junior year. Well, there's nothing like hanging out, when you're 17, 18 years old, hanging out with a divorced, 38-year-old, right? 38 to 40. So he was buying us our beer and things. And we were going and hanging out. And he talked us into going to our first barbecue contest out of town, just at the dog track in Arkansas. And we had such a good time that we was like, well, we like grilling out. We like, doing this. It's just like one big party. And so that's kind of how I got started. And
what'd you cook, Heath? And what'd you cook at that contest, and how'd it go?
well, Don done the cooking. We kind of helped him, right?
Okay.
But that was back in the KCBS days, and that was even before anybody was doing chicken thighs. He was still doing drunk chickens, and we were putting 8 cuts of the chicken in the box.
No. So roughly what year in history are we talking about here?
95, 96. We're talking then. There were only pulled pork in the box. There was no such thing as a money muscle. Nobody knew what that was. And so it was just a different kind of thing to do. And
had you cooked before at all?
No. And so we started practicing with Don. And so by the time I graduated, Don had to go out of town. And so we borrowed his grill, and there was always 2 local contests at our kind of, 4-H arena or fairgrounds, whatever you want to call it, every year. And so my dad was in law enforcement and run the co-op, and we knew everybody. We're like, we're going to go up here and give this a try. And so we borrowed Don's grill and went and had a good time. And we placed about middle of the pack as kids. And so as time went on, both of my buddies kind of fell off, and I kept doing it. I built my own grill, and just they would help at those couple times a year. And I turned that into buying a trailer and started cooking barbecue sometimes and selling it on the weekends. And then my buddies, some more of my friends opened up a racetrack. And so I started selling barbecue sandwiches and barbecue bologna and hamburgers and hot dogs. And it was just a side gig on the weekends, out there racing 4-wheelers and mud trucks and stuff.
Man, do you remember much about that first pit you built? Tell us about that.
I do. It was a piece of 36-inch pipe, 5 foot long. Called up a guy, and he cut the ends out for me, and I welded them on. And then I cut a hole in it, and I built a firebox and all that. And I had my pipe and all on there. I had a piece of 6-inch pipe as a draw, and I had a piece of 24-inch pipe as a firebox on there, about 2 foot long, and had it built up. And I'd walked around enough barbecue contests that I kind of understood, the looks and the dynamics. And I took welding in school, in high school, and so I done that. But it never did run really good. And the guy that cut the ends out for the grill, he actually built some grills and stuff like that too, as a side hustle, right? Just backyard grills. And so I paid him, I think it was $150, and he built me a 1/4-inch steel thick firebox. And it was like a 2 by 2 by 2 and had air vents in it and everything. And I welded on that cooker. And I ended up selling that cooker years later for $800. And I would probably give $8,000 for it today. But it was just I built it. I cut the door out. I done all that, done the welding myself. And it was just a good pit. But eventually I graduated to like a rotisserie style cooker to the guy that out of Dyersburg, Tennessee. His name is John Bird, 2 Little Pigs. And he's one of those old school cooks. And he used to build some rotisserie pits like the Southern Yankees. You remember those charcoal rotisserie pits? And I built like the Heartland rotisseries now built out of Missouri.
Okay, gotcha.
And, where the kind of edge of the rack kind of went into the fire and come out of it, right?
Yeah.
And I had a 3-foot model of one of those is what I started out with, and I got a 4-foot model from him. And after I got away from those, I wound up buying a backwoods smoker.
Man, it's wild just how much barbecue has changed in the lifetime since you first got involved with it. And look at you now. You're a world champion, an entrepreneur, a content creator, absolutely a barbecue influencer. At what point in your life did you realize that was your destiny, or at least you wanted that to be your destiny?
I honestly still don't feel like it's, I don't want to say real, but like that we actually make a really good living and we employ other people doing this, not having a restaurant. And so it's kind of hard to imagine that up front. I never thought it would get that way. I always thought this would be like a side hustle type thing. Um, but I guess, I'm the type of person that I just put my head down and go to work. And so everybody else is always talking and doing this and that, and I just keep going down the road. I mean, whatever.
I feel like that's a great segue to our first segment on winning.
Yeah, let's do a few shout outs to some of the folks we got with us tonight and then jump right into that, shall we, Ann?
Yeah, we got Eric, we got Big Rex Barbecue, Cold Beer Barbecue, Betty, Eric, Brian, we got Weber Ninja, Champa Barbecue, we got Mitchell, Flavor Man, we got Ryan. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for being here, and be sure to send in your questions as we go, and we'll post those things up and let Mr. Riles talk about it. But let's get into the winning segment. So, I consider myself a student of people and a pretty observant guy. And, I've observed, I think, 3 universal traits among perennial champions, winners, and goats. And I don't mean just in barbecue, I mean in the game of life more broadly. And in my opinion, and I think probably a lot of others too, you're more than qualified to talk about what it takes to be part of that rarefied air. But the traits I see almost universally is going to be a technical mastery of their craft, an extreme and ongoing dedication, and then number 3, mindset. I see those 3 things come together and so often just becomes a juggernaut, as you have. So I'm wondering, what's your reaction to that short list? Do you agree with it? Am I missing stuff? How does that embody you or not?
Well, I mean, I learned as a child. I come from a very small family, and I believe that hard work always pays off. My dad worked 3 and 4 jobs, and he died at a young age, 59. And I don't know. It's just if you don't work hard and just a lot of people talk these days about well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Well, a lot of people that say those things never wind up doing them. Why even talk about it in the first place? Just go do it and get it over with. And you have to set yourself goals. I'm a big goal setter. And I think you always have to be working toward a goal in life. But I think the main thing for me for having if you want to call it a winning attitude, if you don't believe in yourself first, nobody else will. And I tell people that all the time. A lot of people beat themselves up. Well, everybody's in the same race and everybody is individual. So you're in a race with yourself. And some people wake up in their 20s, some in their 30s, some in their 40s, and some in their 50s. And I learned one thing from my family: nobody's coming to save you. It's up to you to do it. And I didn't have a family that could save me financially. And so I don't know. It's you have to work hard, and for anything that's going to pay off in the long run, it's a 10-year road. It's a 10-year investment, and you hear a lot of older people say that, and I used to think that was a joke. There is no shortcut to success, or winning, or whatever word you want to call it at the end. There's no shortcut. If you're not trying to outwork everybody else in your craft, then what are you doing?
You're coasting along, I reckon, right? Well, let's talk a little bit just about the technical mastery elements of barbecue specifically. What if anything was hard or took a long time for you to figure out on this long journey of how to make barbecue that wins world championships?
Well, one thing that every piece of meat cooks differently, and having a temperature for a meat is fine for the baseline, but that is not always true. And the one thing you can't teach people is feel. And so I've burnt my fingers up, I don't know how many times, and hands and everything else. And I can't reach in the oven and grab a sheet pan out of it at 450 degrees. But
I wouldn't recommend it.
mean, no, but I mean, you know what I mean. I don't like a lot of people put on heat gloves when they work a whole hog and all that
Yep.
at a contest. I don't. I'll burn my fingers up and fish the loin out and just grit my teeth and all that. I'm a little bit different with that. And I
Wow.
feel like when you can feel what you're serving the judges or whatever you're putting in a blind box, and you can feel the sponginess of that meat, and when you got on cotton gloves underneath, you're absorbing that cotton. How can you really feel it, right? How? So I just put on a thin set of rubber gloves and burn my hands up. I want to feel that rib. I want to feel the sponginess and everything else, and just it's a different feel that I'm looking for, and that's something you can't teach people. You can tell them, and you know it's something that develops over time after you cook enough, whether it's a brisket or whatever, right? And it's kind of like the old saying goes, when you know how to cook a brisket, when you finally figure it out, yeah, the thermometer just slide in like butter, right? Well, you don't even know
Yeah.
what the thermometer is, but you just need to know how that feel is.
Yeah.
And if you can ever master that feel for every cut of meat, you'll be fine. I mean, but that takes years of practice. And for me, as many slabs of ribs as I've cooked, every hog is treated different. Every shoulder cooks different. Depends on which side of the hog, you know, used his muscle to get up with and down or her. And so all of it matters. It's a science to all of it, right? It also matters if the wind's blowing, what the barometric pressure is. I mean, I used to write down temperatures and like winds and stuff at barbecue contests and wind speeds. And then when I go back there the next year, I'd look in my notes and go, okay, it was 90 degrees here. We're 80 now. How's that going to affect my meat? That's going to get done a little bit sooner like that. I go up in Virginia to cook. You need to put it on earlier and expect it to cook longer. The altitude changes the cook time dramatically going to Galax. It took me going up there a few times to figure that out with my tenderness to get it right, the rest times. And a lot of that's just trial and error. But
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. You just got to do it. If you want to get great at something, you got to do it over and over and over again in a whole bunch of different conditions. And it's funny you mentioned the log book and having the wind speed in it. I'm 0% surprised to hear that because it really speaks to that second trait that I so often see, and that's extreme and ongoing dedication. It takes discipline to keep that logbook and to do it every time. You get caught up in the end of the cook and now you want to eat it and then you want to clean your mess up and next thing you know it's tomorrow and you've forgotten half of what happened the day before.
Yeah.
So I'm really not surprised to hear that you do that.
well, when
Go
we
ahead.
go to events, I make a lot of like as soon as the event's over, I always take a lot of notes during the event, and when it's over, I do a lot of recaps, and I
Yep.
file all that type stuff, like Memphis and May, for instance, where I can go back to it next year, know what I done wrong, what adjustments I need to make out of the gate. I don't want to get back out there. We go ahead and reload trailers a different way. If I don't use it, it comes out of the trailer, it's getting gone. I don't
Right.
want to keep it, don't want to keep my hands on it. I'm trying to be as minimal as I can get nowadays and still get the job done. And I
See,
don't know.
Brian, you hear what he's talking about. Heath does like a wrap up. You make your notes. We do a post mortem, is what we call it. And I'm always the one who starts it, and I'm always like, "All right, Brian, you need to contribute to this. What do you add your thoughts?" And we uncover all kinds of great stuff. To your point, that we go back and remember. Oh, okay, right. We got to pivot. We got to do things a little bit differently because of our past experience. Those notes are just gold. Heath, I recall a year at Memphis in May, a couple of years ago. I don't remember what day of the week it was, before Saturday. I think it was like a prep day. I don't know. We were there with Steamboat, and I don't know, the team was probably building a floor or walls or something. And I was kind of walking around, just being social, and came by your area to say hello. Didn't see you, didn't really see anybody. And then I realized, oh, you guys were doing a practice run before cook day. And I remember being so impressed at that here's Heath Riles. I mean, how many racks of ribs have you cooked in your career, right? And, that was about getting the whole gang together, getting your vibe, getting your process, just going through it. And super, super great example I saw firsthand of that dedication, and just so impressive. kudos to you. I have learned a ton by the example that you've set for us all. Thank you.
Well, we actually cooked another 22 racks this year for a practice run before, and we learned. You know, everybody, we worked so well as a team. Everybody that was there this year, I'm still in shock. Not really, no arguments whatsoever. Like everybody was like a machine. And I can't get it. I can't thank my team enough because it takes a village to win Memphis in May. And we started out setting up beforehand, and like I said, we have a minimal setup. I tore down in 30 minutes. I was loaded, ready to leave. But it's just the work that everybody put in, from washing dishes to making sure everything got put back like it was, and all that. It was just insane.
There's no question, of all the things I've done in competition barbecue, really for me, barbecue in general, that is the most intense and difficult and sustained thing that I've ever done, you know, especially cooking hogs. But it really doesn't matter if you're cooking ribs or hogs or in between. You know, there is just an incredible amount of work that goes into it. And I can't imagine some of these guys that go down there with, you know, two buddies and somehow get it done. You know, it does, a whole lot goes into that. And it sounds like for you now, you know, a lot of your wrap ups are about optimizing and how to make things run smoother or make it easier on yourselves. I'm guessing maybe at some point in your history where it was more about fixing things. Can you describe a time in your competition history where things went massively wrong and you had to rely on your skills to get you out of the jam?
I mean, I've overcooked ribs so many times, you know, walking up and being nice to people, and I talk to everybody that comes up, right? And that's just me. I'm a talker. And so everybody keeps me on track of time, and I go, oh, they're okay. I'll give me 5 more minutes. I got them. I'll get them. And by the time I get over there, they're overcooked or something. Well, it's just how to, you know, take that thing and lay it out on the counter and just don't put it in a hot box or nothing. Open it wide open, let it breathe 5 minutes. It'll tighten back up. And you know, if it's that loose like a money muscle, just take it and cram it in a barrel of ice just a second. There's no rule against that. Take a sheet pan and lay it on some ice up front. You put in the sheet pan. That cold will just shock that money muscle and just get it right back down where you can slice it and it won't crumble. I mean, and I'm pretty sure everybody's done that one before, because who hadn't had a money muscle crumble on you, right?
They're easy to get overdone, especially back in the day when you had to cook a whole pork butt all in one. You couldn't just cook the money muscle and worry about that. Man, we used to do some unholy things to those pork butts, trying to trim them out for competitions.
I know, and now you can cook a money muscle only. I mean, which is, I don't know, I'm glad of that with the jack coming up, with us qualified for the jack, and I'm even practicing right now for the jack. So I'm practicing individually right now on every category, and then in September, all my guys are coming into my place, and we're going to do a full-on run, even build boxes.
Yeah, why wouldn't you you're going for another flavor, a world championship. So let's talk a little bit about mindset. How do you get your head right for a world championship? Is it any different than the competition down the street, or is it just another day of trying to be at the top of the mountain for you?
Well, you know, like I said a while ago, I think it's more of, if you don't believe in yourself first, nobody else will. And I don't think we would have never won Memphis in May if the product wouldn't have been there to win it, right? And so I know that we cook a good rib. I've had a 180 there before at the jack, and I'm going to cook that recipe again. I know it's at nail tenderness. And believe it or not, the one thing that's always got me at the jack has been pork. I've hit 2 bad pork tables both times I've cooked. And I've finished respectively right out of the top 10, you know, with that 180 and all that. And I even had a 180 barbecue sauce there. So I just know that I just have to tighten it up and hope that I can hit the right tables, because we know the jack is unlike any other contest.
For sure. What do you think, Ann? Should we tell Mr. Riles our pork butt secret?
No.
There's this stuff called Heath Riles peach rub.
Oh,
Man, it changed our whole game when it came to pork back in 2019. We lost so many grand championships because our pork sucked. we had everything else figured out in KCBS, you know, where we just knew we were going to be third place with a great ribs call, a good chicken call, probably a second place brisket, and then pork would be, you know, 32nd or whatever. And then we discovered that stuff, and man, it changed fast.
3 layers of various Heath Riles barbecue products, and our pork went from, you know, loser to, yeah, we were winning. My goodness.
Yeah, and we really got to thank both you, Heath, and Jeff for that. You know,
Yeah.
we hadn't used much of your products before we got involved with Jeff, and he really turned us on to them. And you know, the first one was the garlic jalapeno rub. We'll definitely be talking about that one a little bit later. What do you think, Ann? We got some questions from the audience to put up.
Yeah, we have a couple to put
Let's
up
do
here.
a few of those.
I love this one. How many times do we have to burn our hands to make it sting less?
Well, I've got a pretty bad burn right now.
Did it sting though?
That got me the other day cooking pork butts. That got me pretty good. That old hickory did. It bit me. And I'm having to keep some burn cream on it right now to keep from getting infected. But it's I don't know how many times I burnt my hands. I mean, a lot. I probably said several choice words that I probably shouldn't have at a contest.
I'm feeling pretty good with a couple burns here and a couple burns here. I'm feeling good about my burns. Thank you, Heath. Somebody's got a great pork recipe. I feel like there might be a little bit more to this story than he's letting on here. Not sure. Do you know anything about that, Heath?
If I will say, when I probably shouldn't have done what I done last time with Jack. I put all money muscle in the box, made a huge diamond pattern, and I think I had 24 pieces of money muscle in the box. And I said either I'm going to finish first or the middle of the pack at 50th, and I finished 49th in pork. I mean, but you got, and that was before anybody was doing any of that crazy mess with just turning in money muscle. Yeah. And I'm one of these types of guys. If I'm going to do it, either I'm going to try to do something out of the ordinary or, you know, uncommon. And I just tried something different. It didn't work, but it's not the end of the world.
So you've been active in a bunch of different formats and sanctioning bodies. Is there any particular event or style of competition barbecue that you really, really get into?
You know, I really like the dual contests when I used to cook them. I'm one of the few, I don't know if I'm the only person that won 2 grands the same day. I've won a grand in reserve the same day. And I've done the 2 grands twice. And I don't know, it's just so fast paced with having 7 categories. It's just something about it. I don't know. It just separates yourself from everybody else. And I really like that aspect of doing it. When we used to do hog, shoulder, rib, and then the 4 KCPS. And at one time, it was all intertwined together. And you had all the on-site presentations as well, like Memphis in May. That was probably the hardest I've ever worked, ever at a contest.
Yeah, man. I've seen you do it, and we attempted it down at Murfreesboro one year. I shouldn't say attempted. We pulled it off, but we ended up somewhere south of you in the standings that day, I'm sure. But, man, are you going to be down at Murfreesboro this year?
No, I'm actually end of September. I have to pull up my calendar, but I
think it's the 20th or so. Yeah, it's the 20th, September 20th.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, that was where I first really got inspired about the whole MBN thing. Ann and I started out exclusively as a KCBS team, and we'd go down there and do that event. We were fortunate to always do pretty well, especially in the rib category. And I didn't know the first thing about MBN as a sanctioning body. And somebody told me, you know, it's kind of like pitmasters where they got to present. And yours was one of the first presentations that I ever saw. And I remember you holding up a rack of ribs and saying, look, they're waving at you. And you just got this big old grin on your face. And the judges were just eating it up. And I'm pretty sure you won a big old carved trophy that year and a whole bunch of apples. But it really just, you know, was my first introduction to you, but it was also my first introduction into MBN format, which I've really grown to love. we're going to try and go down and do Memphis in May on our own next year and just focus on ribs, and definitely going to do it in Murfreesboro. So I know I'll at least get to see you in Memphis, right?
That's right. That's right. Sure. I wish I could make Murfreesboro, and it's not on my calendar, but I know it's something that we've got an event somewhere. I think I've got to be in the Pacific Northwest that week, if I'm not mistaken, for like an Ace Hardware deal.
Yeah.
We've got so many guests coming in our studio doing some filming with us several weeks coming up in the fall, that trying to get all that content done and over with before some of the other travel I have. It kind of takes priority over the barbecue contest now. Really and truly, we don't do but South Haven and Memphis in May every year now. It's too
Well,
hard.
that is kind of a perfect segue to get into our next segment about how you've built this brand. Because, I mean, not everybody in competition barbecue can say they can't go to Murfreesboro because they got to sell a bunch of rub in the Pacific Northwest. So, I'm guessing none of that happened by accident. So, Ann, you want to kick us off on this one?
Yeah. So, there's a lot of people out there that have a dream of launching their own rub or their own sauce. And, a lot of them go out there and they do it. And, what advice do you have for somebody just starting out on that journey?
To not give up so soon, but also not to go out at first and try to have, a huge line. At least make sure you can sell 2 items if you want to have 3, but you really want. But I would have no more than 3 to go out with, because you've got to get stores to buy them first. And you're going to have to give away a lot of product nowadays. It's not like it was 10 years ago as bad, I don't feel like. But it seems like now with social media, everybody's getting into the barbecue game. And you see somebody really get into the video game and they'll make 7 or 8, 10 videos and then they fall off. They're not committed to it, right? And why tie up all that money? So just be sure that you are honestly ready to work hard, harder than you've ever worked in your life. And you're going to miss some family functions you probably don't want to miss. It depends on how dedicated you want to be and how far you want to take it. But the road to success is not short. It's a long road.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Heath, you talked a little bit about your in your introduction, some of those life lessons that you learned at an early age, and you talked a little bit about some folks that I'm guessing really inspired you. Are there other folks in the world of barbecue or otherwise that continue to inspire you today?
Oh yeah, I mean, I would definitely look up to Pat Burke, and then of course Mike Mills is no longer with us, but Pat and Mike were 2 inspirations coming from the Memphis side of barbecue for us. I mean, it was just incredible at some of the things they've done. And I don't know, Pat used to call me all the time and things like that when we were starting out and winning and all that. And getting those phone calls from him and winning those certain contests that he was the only one that had won previously out of states and things like that. That was really awesome. I don't know. And for now, just to be, I don't know, of course, Sweet Baby Ray, Dave Raymond, I mean, Famous Dave. I mean, all those are just legacy people in the barbecue industry, and how can you not look up to them? We kind of grew up with those brands, right? It's just so hard. And now that I'm friends with them, it's just, I don't know, super cool. It's not it's hard to describe.
It sounded like from what you said earlier that, you were consulting with some of those guys as you were setting out to launch your brand in the barbecue business. How did you know those folks and, get to where you could just call them up and get advice on how to brand yourself and stuff?
Well, honestly, we started out, attending a lot of the national NBBQA, right? Used to be, and they still are huge, but they used to host these annual events every year and go to different cities. At one time, when we had the time, we went every year, and the networking was awesome. And that's where I met Famous Dave and Sweet Baby Ray and just a slew of other people that in the industry, from restaurateurs to entrepreneurs to product developers and everything else. And just seeing that through the years. And Paul Kirk, that's another one. I probably should not leave him off. because Paul Kurt, seeing him and getting some of his books and talking to him, and that was in 2007 that I met Paul.
I'm not familiar with him. Who is he?
He was inducted in the Barbecue Hall of Fame and all that, but he was Baron of Barbecue. Paul was just an incredible guy. And he had a book named, I think it's over here on my shelf, Paul Kurt's Championship Barbecue Sauce, and it's like 100 and something recipes of barbecue sauce, rub, marinades, and mops, right? And in the back of that book, it has some charts that kind of tells you if you're going to be building a rub or a sauce, you only need to use these in 1 cup increments, or these in half cups, or these in teaspoons or tablespoons, etc. And after talking to him about that, I really understood a whole lot more about building products than I did when I was just going and trying to, I need a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and trying to write it down, right? I had a lot more understanding of spices in general. And then having conversations with Famous Dave and all that, he used to tell me he would eat raw spice to really get a taste for it. He'd just take spoonfuls of it and eat it. And still to this day, he can, I'm pretty sure, any raw spice blindfolded, he knows what it is when he tastes it. And I don't know too many people that can do that.
Yeah, no kidding. That's got to be a talent that you
Yes.
develop for sure. You're not born knowing what turmeric tastes like.
Yeah, for sure.
What you've mentioned about the importance of networking and relationships, you've mentioned a bunch of names of legends and superstars that in my experience have many of those people that you've named have given me a lot of their time, and they have answered a lot of my questions. They, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. You can approach people and, you can start a conversation, and those people have been very generous with their time, as have you. I mean, that time at Murfreesboro when we did make MBN finals, I approached you and said, Heath, dude, we made finals. Like, what do we do? How do we structure this? We were a little in over our head, and you gave me the time of day. You gave me the breakdown of, the process and the flow, and nobody can do it like you, but that was super cool. That's that barbecue family, man. That world, that community just opens up so many doors. So many doors.
You don't see that with a lot of other sports, right? At least I don't. And so with any barbecue family, everybody's always willing to help you. And there is a few people out there that don't want to help, you know what I mean? They're not those types of people. And I think you get that in any organization. But for the most part, 85, 90% of the barbecue family is, incredible.
Yeah.
Would give you the shirt off their backs. And I tell anybody, I will give you anything except while I'm building the blind box, and you got to give me 5 minutes for that or 10. And I do whatever I can. But that blind box thing is just, I got to be left alone for that. You can watch me all you want, but don't talk. Don't let me just be left alone. And it's just different, way different.
Well, back into kind of how you've built that brand. You said earlier that you were big on setting goals. I'm sure that you had a roadmap for yourself when you were first kicking this thing off, and got a lot of good advice. But what I'm wondering now is, where are you pointing that roadmap at next? Like, what's the next milestone that you're aiming for?
Well, business wise, there's a lot. With only being, I think we're in 15, 16, 17,000 accounts, whatever I said. And now there's a lot of small mom and pops accounts to go back and fill in now that we're in a lot of the big box as well. And the big box, all of them don't carry a full line of products. Some of them is just 1 or 2. Some of them have 3 or 4, but none of them have no more than 6. That's just the way it is. And we have a product line of about 30 products. And so it's really hard. And when you start managing that type of volume in those amount of stores and going and trying to deal with every mom and pop you can, working in this new wholesale system we're doing, where a wholesale portal, they'll be able to log in themselves. But some people are busy and all that, and if they don't have to send an email and all they can do is log in, it makes it easy for them, right? So we're steady trying to evolve the business, do better, and connect with more people and get our brand in front of more people. And so whether we're out talking to more brokers, or really doing it ourselves, because I really don't hire a lot of brokers. Brokers just don't know your brand like you do. And I think a lot of buyers like talking to me directly because my name's on the bottle. And
Well, yeah.
different than a lot of other people, we own our own accounts. We don't go through brokers or nothing like that. We have them all ourselves. So having our own vendor numbers at all these places really makes a huge difference when it comes to communication and, you know, reporting systems and all that. We have a better understanding of our business probably than a lot of others do. And so just trying to take that information and, you know, me being in the beer business for so long, I was in the beverage industry for 13 years. And actually, Mitchell was in the beer business as well in a role. And then my director of sales, John, was in the beer business longer than probably me and Mitchell together. And he used to work with Walmart and Kroger and several other big companies, you know, in the beverage industry. And so we have a lot of knowledge with dealing with all that type of stuff. The beer business trains you really well when it comes to those face-to-face interactions and selling and things like that. So, and being prepared, that's the biggest thing. And just like anything, I think knowing your numbers and knowing your information about your brand, a lot of brokers don't know all that. So dealing with us face-to-face, we have all those facts right in front of you. And I think people really enjoy that.
Yeah. Makes sense. Well, hey, let's do a couple things from the audience here and then jump into flavor and wrap this thing up. So let's see. I got to mention you got an invitation to go fishing up in Canada next year. That's from Bill DeFluvio. He's a good guy. He's been on our Memphis team a couple times with Steamboat, and he's a lot of fun. So if you like Miller High Life, definitely go fishing with Bill. They catch good fish up there. But on a more questioning note, someone, let's see, where was it? Big Racks Barbecue wants to know for the Jack, you doing baby backs or spares?
Spares, 100% St. Louis.
All right, man. I guess when in Rome, you got to do like the Romans. How about Memphis? I'm guessing that's always baby backs, right?
Always baby backs, always.
Yeah.
Right on. And you got to give the people what they want. So that's a perfect segue into flavor because apparently that's exactly what you've been doing. You mentioned around 30 products. I think I counted 18 different rubs and seasonings, half a dozen glazes, 4 injections, and I think 3 sauces. So is that about right? I got it all?
That sounds about right.
And there's cool merch too, man. The iconic Ribman apron, which everybody ought to get them one. I'm personally looking for a black one. We give away red ones at our rib camp every month, and man, they're cool. Get you.
I'll fight you for it, man. I'll fight you for it. We'll have a rib.
Black is made now.
Hey, I thought we could do something kind of fun since we're going to get into flavor. And I know we got a lot of Heath Riles barbecue fans watching tonight. I thought it would be cool if everybody could drop their favorite Heath Riles product in the comments. And I'm going to read them off before we get into our little section on flavor.
Yeah, let's see if folks are, if the most popular one is going to be what I think it is.
Yeah,
but while we're waiting for those to come in, Heath, out of all those different products, we got our first vote, Honey Chipotle.
Honey Chipotle. We have a competition rub.
Yep, comp rub, also good. What was the first out of all those 30 or so products to come to market?
Sweet rub.
The Heath Riles Sweet. And has that been the best seller over time? Because man, the line's grown a lot from there.
Well, I would have said yes, but now no. As soon as I done that, I come out with the everyday rub, and as soon as I done that, I want to do a spicy version of that, and I done the garlic jalapeno, and the garlic jalapeno just kind of took off. And then I think I done a honey and a honey chipotle, and the honey jumped up there pretty good, and then I got into the flavors and done those. No, I'm telling you wrong. I've done the flavors first after the sweet. And then I done the honey and honey chipotle. And then I done the simple citrus and the garlic butter at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to talk about a bunch of those, but what's the audience say over there, man?
All right, we got honey chipotle, competition rub, garlic jalapeno, all day, garlic jalapeno, garlic jalapeno, garlic jalapeno. Hot rub is underrated.
Joseph, I agree with you on that one. Big time. 100%.
Hot honey peach glaze is amazing too. We got comp rub and pork injection. Pecan, simple citrus, most underrated ever.
Let's start there.
Fire.
Let's start right there, because that is a product that I think a lot of people don't know about. A lot of people don't know what you do with that.
Everything.
My mom loves that stuff. She gets a bottle of it every year, but she's a 80-something lady who cooks old school, and that's an ingredient to her. She's just like, oh, I know what to do with this, and puts it in stuff.
Family favorite, yeah.
Yeah, what'd you make that for, Heath? What's
It's
it
my
for?
favorite rub. I made it for kind of vegetables and seafood.
Yeah.
But I use it on everything. It's basically the everyday rub that's I've went up in granule sizes, pulled out the sugar, and added some citrus and some lime too. And so it dramatically changed it up, and I added some more garlic to it. It just changed it up so much. I mean, it's my favorite rub at home. I use it on top of pasta, pizza. I know that sounds weird, but I sprinkle it as pizza.
No.
I don't know. Just everything imaginable like that. I even eat it on some fruit sometimes.
Yeah, it's that papa acid, I think, that just makes it
Citric
magical and wakes up your tongue and makes everything else going on just more pronounced. It's a magic in a bottle. Do you use that stuff at all in your competition game?
No, I don't think I use it at all. I don't use it at all in competition.
Yeah, I'd be afraid to, unless it's like an ancillary and I'm doing, I don't know, I could figure out ways to use it in that. But yeah, I'm always worried, even though it does something that barbecue needs. Barbecue needs a little acid from somewhere. A lot of people get it from the vinegar in their sauce or whatever it might be. But it's definitely an interesting product that, it'll be more at home in your kitchen cupboard, I think, than by the barbecue grill.
Well, I'm going to have to cook some ribs with it now because I don't think I've ever cooked ribs with it.
Yeah, well, do it and let us know. I know you'll make a video because your social media is on fire.
And I almost wonder how pork belly would be with it, and doing like a citrus twist. I'm going to play with that.
I'm Greek, and I can see simple citrus being in a lot of Greek food. And the garlic.
Well, and I ain't even think about this. I take it and I add rosemary and thyme and several other herbs to it sometimes, right? In a little canister, and I use it like that. Some fish and different seafood and things like that, just to change it up a little bit differently.
Yeah, absolutely. We haven't talked a lot about Cajun Creole, and I feel like that would have been
underrated in my opinion too.
Totally, yeah, right.
It's definitely underrated.
For anyone that hadn't had it on a steak, you're just missing out.
All right.
Yeah. And I will say that might be one of the ingredients in one of the top 5 steak cookers, out there.
I wouldn't be surprised to hear that.
We're going to run into that.
Out of all the stuff in your lineup, there's certain products that I don't have a lot of application beyond the barbecue world. Like peach rub, I'm not using that for anything except barbecue. That Cajun Creole rub, that I can use in barbecue, on steak, and in the kitchen just as well. It's just a do-it-all rub. To me, it doesn't. It's an all-purpose seasoning that goes with what I like. I don't necessarily think of it as a Cajun thing, but I'm not from there, so I don't necessarily identify with those flavors the same way. To me, it's just a dang good rub to put on pretty much anything that grows or flies or swims or walks the earth.
Thinking about that, we put it on duck too, and the simple citrus. We've had both of those on duck.
There you go.
Man, that's that of all the proteins that I have attempted to cook, that is one that I am still a long way away from mastering. I've only done 3 of them, and I've got one that was edible out of the 3, but I got a long way to go.
I like duck breast, believe it, whether wild or not, but ordering the new large duck breast, to me, you can't be beat. We have a friend that sometimes makes pastrami out of them, and they make duck pastrami.
Oh, wow.
That's incredible. You buy the big Mular duck breast. I mean, it's a game changer.
Man, a whole bunch of people weighing in talking about the Cajun on the comp steak. Might be
And
a little flavor test on our future that we hadn't considered yet. And
Caitlin's got the right idea here with some of your seasonings, and it's a good time maybe to get into that. This year, you launched your first 3 products in your general purpose seasonings line, in addition to your many rubs. So, what's the strategy there?
Honestly, just wanted something that we could wanted some wing stuff and something that we could be used more than just wings, but something that was not like a rub, right? And I'm glad somebody just posted that garlic parm is great on pasta. I agree 100%. I put it in some pasta sauces and things like that too, and on top of pasta, and I use it on top of pizza sometimes, and all that too. But just wanted something a little bit different, and I honestly was ordering wings from a soul food place, and we would get buffalo flavored, right, dipped in buffalo sauce, and they would sprinkle with a dry lemon pepper seasoning. And I really enjoyed that flavor. And after having it the first time, I told Candace, I said, I'm going to make a dry seasoning like this. I really like, we were just talking about the citrus and that citric popping like that, right? That buffalo with that flavor, just, I don't know, it's something about it.
Very unique. Yeah. Very unique, very delicious. When you
and
launch
just like they're
those,
meant to go together.
yeah, I am. Well, Mitchell's got an awesome idea here. Yeah, I use a lot of your seasonings, Heath, as like in a breading, just to flavor up that breading. I did a smoked Chex Mix with that lemon pepper buffalo, and that was super cool.
I hadn't thought about using it on that, but I could see where that would be really good with the Chex.
It was, yeah. You get that sour quality, you get the savory, you get all that little heat. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and we have got, I mean, I'm not joking. We've got every single rub you make in our spice cabinet except the brand new ones, the seasonings that just came out. And we'll have those. Do we have them already?
We have flavor guides on them.
And puts a label over everything as soon as they come in, so we can't see what it is till we test it, because it poisons your mind, to know what you're testing.
He's right about that. But yeah, we've had those, and we jumped on them immediately. We launched at Barbecue Pro Shop with flavor guides for those. That was super cool, Heath, to be coordinated on that. And
that's right.
Mr. Freak, do you remember what our very, very first product for flavor guide testing was?
Product number A1, Heath Riles Sweet. Yep.
Heath Riles Sweet.
That was the first, that was the beginning of the flavor guide, and the very first one we published. And, gosh, there's been 18 other rubs and seasonings since then, and then all the other products. And Heath, I'm wondering if there's like a guiding philosophy that runs through all of these products. How do they tie together, and what makes this whole lineup work?
Honestly, just trying to go back and fill in some voids in other cooking, I want to say, arenas that I like food, and I still feel like that we're going to eventually come out with some more wing seasonings at some point next year. I imagine there'll be a couple more glazes before it's over with our lineup, and definitely a few more sauces. As far as rub goes, we'll probably wind up with about 20 before it's over with. I mean, I've probably got 85 or 90 products ready to go to market right now.
Yeah.
Like all I have to do is like start making labels and ready to go. I've went through all the R&D processes on them every year, and we steady our R&D in products. I work on stuff every week, and there might be a chili season coming at some point or another this year. But that's really the only thing this year I think that will be left. And just keep.
So where does it start for you, Heath? Was it what you want to make, or what you think people want to buy?
What I think people want to buy nowadays, and kind of both. What I want to make, if it's something that I'm making at home all the time and eating, and I keep taking my product and keep turning it into that, I'll eventually turn it into a product. If everybody that comes to my house goes, "Oh, that's good," and I tasted it and tested it with everybody, and I get a lot of good rapport from it, I'm probably going to end up putting it in a bottle.
Well, if anybody ever comes to our house, they're probably, if they're there for 24 hours, they're probably going to get some Heath Riles garlic jalapeno in one way, shape, or form. Because, man, we just use it on everything. it became, soon as we got turned on to it, it became our base rub for just about everything, and it still is. I bet we go through probably 40 pounds a year because we've got 3 bottles going all the time. I've got mine in my outdoor spice cabinet for the grill. We've got it in our competition kit for ribs. We got it in our competition kit for other stuff. And Ms. Freak puts it in pretty much everything.
Yeah, it's one of the rare seasonings that goes in our kitchen cabinet. I mean, like that cabinet is like olive oil and black pepper,
salt, pepper, and
salt,
Heath Riles garlic jalapeno.
maybe some granulated garlic, and Heath Riles garlic jalapeno.
And I keep that honestly, and I keep the beef rub and the chicken rub in my cabinet. And then I have all my normal spices like rosemary, thyme, garlic, onion powder, right? All that chicken bouillon, olive oils, duck fat spray, beef tallow. I can keep, all that, nonstop. But yeah, and then I have a lot of salts, believe it or not.
Okay.
I'm all into like finishing salts between malt and salt and and all that. So it's definitely different between sea salts and Celtic salts and all that. And so really just understanding a lot of that and getting into it. And I'm just getting into some of that. And I've got some friends sending me some more salt now. I mean,
the Holden stuff is super cool. The
good.
is really cool.
I mean, but all that is so unique, and obviously trying to taste the salt and us talking about flavor, right? And it's so unique how the salts change so much and what they do for you and how they react to meat, whether you're cooking with them, finishing with them, or whatever. And all that is just so cool to me of testing and tasting that and the different ways and flavors. And that's why a lot of recipes and stuff, or a lot of the products, once I get to the final line of it, I go, I don't feel like I could sell $1 million of that. And I put it to the side. And I know that sounds crazy, and I just throw that around in my head, but I don't know. It's just maybe one day, maybe not. I don't know. And then I do take recipes like that, and we sell recipes to some people. We do have companies that contact us for R&D, and we're looking for this kind of recipe, and I'll go, okay, well, I've already got one. Here it is, and it's going to cost you this.
That's pretty wild. Well, hey, of the products you've already got, we've got about 5 minutes left here, so let's put this into speed mode here. We'll do a kind of a lightning round. Any killer combos from your product line or ways to stack things up that people you think ought to know about?
Yes, I think the glazes, we use them for drink mixes, like a simple syrup, and especially the hot honey peach, and like doing I just done like a basil, I think, muddled peach with that as a simple syrup. It is so good. I mean, so good. The brown sugar old fashioned, brown sugar honey habanero old fashioned is excellent. So is the maple honey habanero old fashioned. Somebody took the hot honey peach and used it in cupcakes and put it in a icing too, and then drizzled it over the top with the roasted peach on cupcakes. That was in May.
We had a gentleman at our rib camp use your maple habanero glaze in coffee.
Yeah, why not?
Coffee.
I thought it was a good idea.
Like sweet coffee, but I gotta say that was something that I would do. Yeah,
something that I will do.
I hadn't thought about using it in coffee. That's really unique.
Yeah, I mean, the Italians got those heavy syrups that they put in stuff. This is kind of a homegrown and American version of that idea, I think. How about pecan rub? What's that really shine on, Heath?
I mean, to me, pork and chicken very well. And believe it or not, my wife eats it on salmon nonstop. I
do believe that.
A week.
Yeah.
I use the pecan and usually honey chipotle or conch rub now. And she wants nothing but straight caked up pecan. She don't want a light dusting. She wants it to cake up and almost be like a soft broiled bark on her salmon.
Oh, wow.
And it's really flavorful that way, especially in the air fryer, believe it or not.
All right. Y'all heard it here first. Heath Riles pecan rub crusted salmon in the air fryer
too. Love it.
I think y'all just got a recipe right there. Candace.
Hey, I have a question for Jeff. thinking about Heath's line, what are some of the best sellers over at Barbecue Pro Shop?
Well, garlic jalapeno is one that's tough to keep in stock. The competition rub, that one has been the latest and greatest, but hot is coming on strong. Beef rub is coming on strong. And garlic butter also. And I mean, that apple cherry glaze, that one, and the competition sauce moves a lot. So those are the big ones. But yeah, the garlic jalapeno back in the day was the one that was just used to fly in and out all the time. Hard to keep that in stock.
We move a lot of. I didn't even add up. I would like to know how many truckloads I moved to that last year because it was a lot.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine, and I honestly kind of miss the days when I could turn people onto it, and now it's harder and harder to find somebody that doesn't already know about it. Not everyone's tried it, but they've certainly seen it on the shelves somewhere. And
it seems to make it into everybody's order. They might get a whole bunch of different things, but there's always a Heath Riles garlic jalapeno going in there or something like that.
Yeah, have good taste. Have good taste.
One of the things that I really appreciate about your lineup just is how you can mix and match that stuff to achieve a different kind of result. And it really just seems to me like this stuff's made like Legos almost, where, they snap together and you can build different things out of those depending on how you use them, which ones, whether you mix them together or put them on layers. What do you think are some of the great pairings between like Rub A and Rub B that just really, really work together?
Well, to me, the ultimate combo, just because of Memphis and May, would be garlic jalapeno and competition rub. That was it. We did put a little bit of honey chipotle in the wrap, but I mean, those two rubs, the garlic jalapeno and comp rub, just go together like salt and pepper, like peanut butter and jelly. I mean, it's on pork especially. It's just so good. You like that back end heat. You can get a little heavier with the garlic jalapeno. But, let's see, other combos. I really like the chicken and honey rub. I really like beef and pecan rub on brisket, and I use a little bit of garlic jalapeno with that too. Let's see, what else? I really like everyday rub and sweet rub. I really like honey chipotle and pecan. I like citrus and garlic butter together on vegetables a lot. Like the Cajun Creole and simple citrus on all my turkeys for Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow. We've used it on all kinds of poultry, including turkey, but just the Cajun Creole. Haven't tried the simple citrus, but I could see how those two might work together as Rub BFFs.
They work very well together.
Whole bunch of people commenting about the grinds on your rub products, and I gotta agree. There's just something about the way they come out of the bottle, and there's a lot of pro seasonings out there you buy, and they're just a pain to work with because they don't want to flow. And I'm just wondering, is that something that you specifically engineer into these things to make them work in a hot, sweaty trailer in Memphis in May?
Well, and it's also about the types of sugar you use, and it's also the granule sizes between swelling up. And anything with sugar in it's going to eventually clump, right? I don't. No matter what you do, if any little bit of moisture gets in it, or a garlic bulb, if you get it over the heat and you're taking the everyday rub, garlic jalapeno, simple citrus, any of those three are garlic butter, and you're sprinkling them over a hot grill. All that steam is going to go up in that bottle, and when you shut that bottle lid, that steam is going to do what? Swell that garlic bulbs up. It's going to clump that up. And a lot of people go, "Well, why did this rub clump up? I just used it." Well, you just let steam in that bottle. And so, one trick for me, I always pour the rub in my hand when I'm trying to season something over the stove, and use my hand to season it versus seasoning with the bottle. It keeps it from clumping up.
Boy, that is a really good tip. And for you folks out there who don't make rub by the truckload and just go grab a new bottle when you need one, get you some of those barbecue shakers where you can just pour out what you need. They got 3 or 4 different lid sizes that snap on, and the medium lid's probably perfect for all of Heath stuff, but it really will make your rubs last a lot longer. And another trick Miss Freak picked up from somewhere is Get you a brand new toothbrush that you keep with your seasonings and use that to swipe off the bottle after you dump stuff out of there. And then those lids close a lot better, and they'll keep the moisture out of there if it gets a little humid in the house or in the truck on the way to wherever you're going. And then the other point I always tell people is find a way to make your cabinet dark. Don't leave your spices out on the counter, because the sun, the overhead lights, it will mess them up and kill them.
It's
LED is not your friend when it comes to the facings of that. And I don't know if Jeff deals with that some in the warehouse when you've got bottles facing out. It's just part of it. It's the light transmission that you can't deal with in a store. And how many stores have we all walked in and seen it in the front window?
Yep.
Right? Yeah. And then you put the bottle and squeeze the bottle and it comes back to color because it's just bleached the outer edge out. There's nothing wrong with the price, but people have that mentality to think something's wrong with it.
Sure.
There's really nothing wrong with it.
Sure. All right, Mr. Freak, we are over time.
As always, let's wrap this thing up.
A moment. So, Heath, what legacy do you hope to leave in the barbecue world?
Oh, wow.
Let's get deep.
Yeah, you're at that point, man, where you're going to leave one no matter what. So time to start thinking about it.
You know, that's a great question. I just, I guess just always be willing to help people. I mean, there was a lot of people that helped me along the way and give me great advice and guidance. And I feel like passing that on to the people below you. Stop considering people your competition and always help your friends. Or help people that you don't know. I help people that I don't know at all that contact me. And because in the long run, it's always going to pay off for you. Good karma follows you a long way if you just do the right thing.
Well, there you have it, folks. Even the giants stand on the shoulders of giants. Heath, thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight and sharing
Thanks for all the help you've given me, too.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no kidding. And heck, all the people you've helped along the way. And most of us are gunning for you someday and, aspire to beat you out there on the trail. But thanks for sharing everything going on at Heath Riles Barbecue. Be sure, everybody, to check out the full line of stuff. You can get it at Barbecue Pro Shop, Heath Riles website, and just about everywhere else. You can find some of them. But some of the newer ones, some of the ones more competition specific, you're probably going to have to look online to find those. To all of our listeners tonight here live and in the future through streaming, thanks so much for joining us here for Flavor Talk. We will see you next time. Please like, comment, and share and help us get the word out. Good night, everybody, and have a great rest of your week.
Cheers. Thanks again, Heath.
Good night, everyone. Thanks again, Heath.